Hello and thank you for downloading. My name's Steve Johnson, and this is the Inquests and Inquiries podcast.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Inquests and Inquiries. This episode is looking at the Brook House inquiry reports and the government response to it. As usual, we have our AI presenters who've been digesting the reports and we'll analyse them in a moment. But just a few points just to highlight for you what the Brook House inquiry was. The Brook House inquiry took place about the Brook House Immigration Removal Centre, brought to light following the BBC Panorama programme in 2017. The attached documents detail both the methodology of the inquiry as well as the overall approach and the allegations of abuse that went on during this period. It really was quite a traumatic and triggering event. So for anyone who is sensitive to issues to do with torture, abuse or immigration, just be a bit cautious. This AI overview does have some quite triggering footage within it.
Welcome in, everybody, ready to dive deep.
Let's do it.
Today, we're tackling the Brook House Immigration Removal Center.
Oh, Brook House.
Yeah, and, most people, when they hear immigration detention, they think, okay,
Yeah.
short stay, in and out.
Right. Temporary.
But this place, this report, 2017, some folks were stuck there for months. Months. Packed in like sardines.
I've heard about this.
They crammed in 60 extra beds.
No. Really?
Yeah, even those staff, even the inspectors were like, this is going to be bad.
Makes sense. You can't just, stuff people in like that.
Nope. So we got to ask what went so wrong at Brook House, specifically between April and August of 17. That's our focus.
Right, because that's the time period this report really deeds into.
Exactly. And it's important, right? Because even though G4S was running things then.
And now it's Serco, right?
Elko took over in 2020, yeah. But the stuff that went down, it points to some, system-wide issues.
Oh, absolutely. Bigger problems than just one company,
Exactly. So one huge red flag that jumps out is the drug problem.
Drugs!
Spice.
Oh, wow.
And not just a little bit.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. And get this, both G4S and the Home Office, they knew.
They knew, and
they didn't.
They didn't do enough.
Yeah. The report even mentions allegations, right? Some staff were allegedly bringing the drugs in.
Oh, come on. That's next level.
There's this one incident, right? Detainee collapses after smoking spice. Guess where he got it?
A staff member.
Allegedly, yeah. Found unresponsive. They had to resuscitate him.
Wow. So you've got these vulnerable people stuck in a place flooded with drugs, and the people who are supposed to be protecting them, they're...
Yeah, were these staff even equipped to deal with all this?
I mean, the report says that many staff felt overwhelmed.
Makes sense.
And they didn't have enough training on how to, deal with people high on spice,
It's almost like they were set up to fail.
It's like, yeah, here's this chaotic situation, good luck, but without the right tools.
Right. Imagine trying to manage that chaos without any proper training or support.
Yeah, and this is their job, right? Managing tough situations is kind of the whole point. So was it just poor training, or was there something more a lack of empathy,
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the report kind of points to this culture of, well, I don't want to say hostility, but definitely indifference among some staff.
Yeah, indifference, that's a good word for it.
That combined with no training, it's like a recipe for
Disaster.
Yeah. Abuse. And guess what?
That's what they found.
The inquiry. They uncovered some serious stuff.
Yeah.
Potential abuse. And they used a 2-stage test to see if it reached the level of inhuman or degrading treatment.
Right, because that's some serious stuff. That's a violation of human rights.
Exactly. And they have to figure out, okay, was the treatment severe enough objectively? Yeah. And then also, what was the impact on the victim? How did it make them feel?
Right. So it's not just about the act itself, but also the psychological impact, the humiliation, the degradation.
Exactly. So let's get into some specifics. And just a heads up, some of this is rough.
Yeah, it's important to remember that these are real people, not just case numbers.
Absolutely. So first case the report dives into is they call him D1234.
Okay.
But we don't actually know much about him.
Really?
Which in itself kind of tells you something,
Yeah, even the inquiry, they had trouble getting all the info. Makes you wonder what else is hidden.
Then there's D2416. This one's just infuriating.
What happened?
He's stripped naked.
Oh, no.
And left like that. for 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
While staff are scrambling for a sheet.
Yeah.
9 minutes. Like, was there any reason given? Was there some training that went wrong?
Well, the report, it points out that sometimes the staff reports and the CCTV footage, they don't match up.
Oh, interesting.
So in this case, it seems like they made it seem like he was resisting more than he was.
Oh, to justify it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the footage shows him complying. No resistance. They don't really explain the delay with the sheet, but it's clear the staff didn't seem to get how humiliating that was.
Yeah, 9 minutes naked. It's dehumanizing.
Totally.
Okay, another case. D1527. This man, he attempts suicide.
Oh, God.
And an officer mocks him, calls him names, and another officer is caught saying, if he dies, he dies.
That's chilling.
That's awful.
Just a complete lack of compassion.
Right. And guess what? The report says these officers...
He got punished.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No disciplinary action.
But there's this culture of, like, you can get away with anything.
Yeah. And then there's D1914. This guy's literally waiting for heart surgery.
Heart surgery.
And officers use force on him. While he's distressed, he even told them, you'll be responsible if I die.
Oh, my God. They completely ignored his vulnerability.
They didn't care. He needed special care and attention. And they
just didn't see him as a human being.
Yeah. And these are just a few examples, right, of what was going on at Brook House. It's scary how easy it is for abuse to happen and then just be hidden.
Yeah, the power dynamics are so messed up. You've got staff with all the authority and detainees who are isolated, scared, no support.
So you're trapped in this system.
Yeah.
Toxic culture. What hope do you have?
Right. Were there any safeguards at all?
Well, there were supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
Right. Like Rule 34, detainees get a medical exam within 24 hours of arrival.
Okay, that seems pretty basic, especially given what we've heard.
And Rule 35, if someone's health is at risk, the doctor's got to report it so the Home Office can review their detention.
Right.
And there was the adults at risk policy too, right?
Right.
Certain people just shouldn't be detained in the first place.
So the rules were there.
On paper.
But they weren't followed.
They weren't followed properly.
Right.
The report found inconsistencies all over. Staff didn't have the training.
Like that one case, the detainee with a history of self-harm.
Yeah.
Put him in a cell with ligature points, even though the policy said not to, and guess what happened?
Oh, no.
He tried to hurt himself.
So, the system meant to protect. It actually put people in more danger.
It did the opposite of what it was supposed to do.
And we haven't even gotten to the culture.
The report is brutal about that.
Racism, bullying, macho attitude.
Yeah.
Just awful.
Like it was normal.
There's this recording. A staff member uses a racist slur on the radio.
On the radio.
And other staff...
That reported him.
They laugh.
Oh, God.
And then another staff member who did report a colleague for racist remarks, he got ostracized. Bullied.
So speaking up was dangerous.
Yeah. What were the higher-ups doing about all this?
Well, the report paints a picture of senior management being absent, detached.
Wow. So no leadership, no accountability, just chaos.
And that trickles down, creates the sense of lawlessness.
So you've got detainees trapped in this mess. Did anyone speak up?
Well, the report talks about how hard it was for detainees to make complaints.
I can imagine.
They were afraid, language barriers, no support.
And even when they did complain?
The system was broken.
How so?
Delays, lost paperwork, investigations that sided with staff.
It's almost like the system was designed to silence them.
It really was. And then there were supposed to be these external groups watching over things, right? HMIP, they inspect prisons, and the IMB, they have people at each IRC.
So like watchdogs.
But the report says they weren't effective. Too trusting of G4S and the Home Office. They missed things.
So even with oversight, things went wrong.
They did. And that's why the report has these 33 recommendations for change. Staffing, culture, healthcare, everything.
33. That's a lot.
It is. But will they actually make a difference? That's the question we're going to be tackling next time.
That's the big question, yeah. So everyone, stay tuned for part 2. We will dive into those 33 recommendations and see what it would really take to fix this place.
It's going to be a deep dive, for sure. All right, so those 33 recommendations, they're like the meat of this whole thing, what needs to change.
Okay, but 33? That's a lot. Kind of overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a big list, but think of it this way. They're grouped by themes, right? Tackling different parts of the system.
Okay, so break it down for me. What are the biggies? What are they focused on?
Well, one is just the physical space itself. Remember all those extra beds?
Oh, yeah, crammed in.
They recommend no more than 2 people per cell. And enough space for activities,
Yeah, give people some room to breathe, literally.
Right. And that 11-hour lockdown, they say, review that, let people move around more.
It's not a prison. They're just waiting for decisions.
Exactly. And then communication, big one. Better language support for detainees who don't speak English well.
Oh, that's huge. Imagine trying to navigate this whole system and you can't even understand what's being said.
Terrifying. And then those safeguards for vulnerable people.
Those rules that were ignored.
Right. Rules 34 and 35, medical exams, reporting risks. They need comprehensive training for staff on the rules, on the adults at risk policy. Everyone has to be on the same page.
Okay, training. But what about when those rules are broken?
Accountability, that's another key theme.
Yeah.
Better monitoring of staff, stricter enforcement, and a more transparent complaint process.
So, less abuse to begin with. And when it does happen, it's taken seriously.
That's the idea. But changing a whole culture, that's not easy.
We've seen that. The environment, the staff,
Right.
it all led to abuse. But what about the actual use of force? The report's got to be clear on that, right?
Oh, yeah. Force only as a last resort. They want a review of all use of force incidents, especially if someone has mental health issues.
Because we saw what happened, right? Force being used on people who were already vulnerable.
Exactly. And they need better training, too. De-escalation techniques, communication skills, understanding mental health.
So less reacting with force, more talking it through.
And healthcare staff, they need to be more involved, too. In those situations where force is used, they can advocate for the detainees,
Makes sense. But what about that culture of racism, that bullying? How do you even begin to fix that?
Tough one. Changing attitudes takes time. But the report says zero tolerance for racist language, more diversity training, better support for whistleblowers.
Because remember, someone spoke up and got ostracized.
Yeah, that shows you how deep it runs.
And the complaints process, that was messed up too.
Big time. They need a whole new system. Transparent, efficient, independent investigations. Detainees need a voice.
They have to feel like they can speak up. And what about those watchdogs, HMIP and the IMB? They weren't doing much watching.
The report says they need more training. They have to be more proactive, more willing to challenge the Home Office and those contractors.
Be the watchdogs they're supposed to be. But who's really responsible for all this? For making it happen?
It's the Home Office, ultimately. They set the policies, they choose who runs the place, they enforce the standards.
But didn't they also create some of these
So
problems?
the report's pretty critical of them, yeah. They knew about the overcrowding, the drugs, the staffing. They didn't do enough.
So are they going to step up now? Will they actually implement these recommendations?
We can only hope. The world's watching now. They can't ignore it anymore.
It's a lot, isn't it? All these systems, these failures. But let's not forget the human cost.
That's the most important part. All these policies, they affect real people.
People fleeing violence, hoping for a better life. And instead, they get treated like
they're less than human.
And that's why those reforms matter. It's not just fixing a system. It's about treating every person at Brook House with dignity.
It's about basic human rights.
And in part 3, we're going to hear from those people, the ones who lived through it. Stay tuned. So we've spent a lot of time digging into how things went wrong at Brook House, all the policies, the recommendations. But now, let's talk about the people.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? These aren't just numbers on a page.
Exactly. Real people got hurt. And the report shares some of their stories to show the human cost of these failures.
One that stuck with me, D1851, he talked about this strip search.
Oh, yeah. The inquiry said it was completely unnecessary.
He said he felt helpless, vulnerable.
And later, he was diagnosed with PTSD, depression, anxiety. Couldn't even walk past Gatwick Airport without having a panic attack.
It just shows you the trauma, it stays with you.
It doesn't just go away because you leave that place. And then there was D538. He was targeted for being gay.
It's just awful. Being detained is bad enough, then add on discrimination, prejudice.
He said he didn't feel safe. Verbal harassment, even physical assault. And when he complained,
nothing happened.
Basically, felt like he was punished for speaking up.
That's a theme you see a lot in the report. Detainees feeling powerless, like they have no voice.
Trapped, no one listening. It's got to be incredibly dehumanizing.
And think about it. Even with the inquiry, a lot of people didn't want to share their stories.
Yeah, I get it. Scary to speak out against the system.
Makes you wonder how many stories we'll never hear.
How much abuse went unreported?
Yeah.
But even the stories we do have, they paint a pretty clear picture, don't they?
Brook House was a dangerous place. Abuse was everywhere.
And accountability was nowhere to be found. And that brings us back to those 33 recommendations.
They're so important. It's not just about fixing rules, it's about protecting people.
Real people. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what sticks with you? What will you take away from all this?
I think we can't forget the human side of this. All those policies, they have a real impact on people's lives.
And we can't look away. It's our responsibility to learn about this, to talk about it, to fight for something better.
If anyone's interested in learning more, the full report is online. It's tough, but it's worth reading.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Let's keep having these tough conversations. Let's keep pushing for a system that treats everyone with dignity, no matter who they are, where they come from. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect.
Thank you for listening to the Inquests and Inquiries podcast. Remember, you can find more information on the website, inquestsandinquiries.com, or on the YouTube channel as well. Link in the notes.